Hi everyone, welcome to this video. I'm going to show you how to get an Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K Max set up with emulators to play retro games. Now, similar to the video I did with Chromecast, this device can make it quite difficult for you to run emulators, especially from the main app stores. So we need to do things a bit differently. And on this device, it's a little bit better than the Chromecast. You can actually get Mupen 64, so N64 emulation up and running with being able to access your ROMs on a like SD card or a USB stick. I'm using a USB stick with a SD card in, it's an SD card reader, so that's what I'm using for this sort of tutorial. What you'll need is obviously an Amazon Fire Stick Max 4K. I'm using the second edition, which is the kind of rounded edge one. You will need a USB OTG cable, so micro USB OTG cable. You will need a old school keyboard. That's quite important because you're going to need that to do some things in the tutorial. I'm going to use an Xbox One controller for controlling the games, and I'm going to connect a Bluetooth mouse. You may be able to get away without the mouse, just make some things a bit quicker. But yeah, let's get started and see what we can do. So first things first, we need to get into developer mode. So if you go across to settings, right, go across the settings menu. So I've reset my Fire TV and I'm back to scratch. So I need to go into Fire TV, my Fire TV. You should see the USB drive in there. So what you want is a FAT32 formatted USB drive or a reader with a with an SD card in it. I've got an SD card, but you can use a USB stick, but whatever it is, it needs to be formatted to FAT32, and you need to load your ROMs onto it, obviously, before you start this. I've got some on there. I'm not going to show you where to get ROMs, but anyway, so I need to get into developer mode. So if you go into About and tap on 4K Stick, TV Max, so you just keep pressing this button here until you become a developer. It'll say no need, you're already a developer now. So I'm now a developer. As you can see, it's a Fire TV Stick 4K Max 2nd Gen. We've got more storage on this. It claims it's got 16 gig internal storage, but as you can see, you've got 11.6 gig in real storage after your apps are on here. I didn't install anything like iPlayer, so that probably would have made a bit of a difference. Right, so I'm now into developer mode. I need to install an app called Downloader. I'm just going to use Alexa, so if you hold down on the blue button, Downloader, that will get you hopefully Downloader. So I'm going to try and install that now. Okay, right, yeah, it'll say you own it if you've already done this before. Okay, so hopefully that's installing now. That gets in. Right, so this will get us our emulators. Right, you're going to need to allow access. So again, just sort of say yes to things. And this will give us our ability to download, apps that are not in the App Store, because we need certain apps that that are not in there. So let's search for retro. Oh, a good thing to do actually before we do all this, we need to just configure our my keyboard will work because it's just plugged in USB keyboard. My mouse won't work, so I just want to go into remotes and Bluetooth devices, other Bluetooth devices, add Bluetooth device. And then I'm going to, it's picked up my fridge. I'm going to press the pair button on mine. Your mouse might be different. You can use a USB mouse, I think, as well. Let me just see, has it gone into pairing mode? I just hold down the button. I just want to get this into pairing mode, basically, and then get it onto, let me just go back out, do add Bluetooth devices again. Yep, there's the mouse. So now I should have a mouse connected. So that just makes things a little bit easier when you're in downloader and stuff. And also you will need the keyboard to do some parts of this tutorial. You really do need the USB keyboard. You won't be able to do this without it, because in some of the emulators you need it to navigate. Now we need to get our first emulator set up, so go and find downloader, which you downloaded. And one of the great things about having a keyboard is you will be able to just type in what you're looking for. So I'm going to search for RetroArch, press return, and it should bring up a browser. And because you've got a mouse, you'll get like a key, you'll get the ability to select. So we'll just get it from retroarch.com, which is like the main RetroArch site. That's who make it. And we can go to download from the menu here, and just basically it's detected that you've got Android, and then download stable. You can use nightly, but I'd rather use the more stable build. So get that installed, and then hopefully that should set us up. So it will probably just automatically try and install it. So the first time we try and do this, it will say that you need to allow downloader to do this. So you go into settings, and then install unknown apps, and set downloader to on. Now if you go back, I don't think it will take you back to downloader, so you need to go back into downloader, and then under files, so again using the controller this time, under files you'll see RetroArch, and then you can kind of finish where you left off. So let's do this again. This time say install. It's now allowing you to install this. So now this is your first emulator going in here. And RetroArch is probably the least, it'll ask you about permission. So you just say yes, allow, and then it will go to set itself up. It will start off looking pixelated because it's downloading everything. And then what I like to do is to go into the settings menu, user interface, set the appearance to, oh no, that's the wrong one, sorry. So where am I? Hang on, I've got myself lost here. Right, so I like to go down to menu, set it to XMB, so you get a kind of nice PlayStation 3 style design. Now when you come out of that, you will need to go back into main menu, configuration file, save configuration, because it won't remember things that you've done, so you have to tell it all the time to remember things, which is a bit of a pain. Right, so now I've exited RetroArch, and you'll see it in your recently used apps. So go back into RetroArch, and you should now get this menu. So this is a much nicer looking menu. So what we're going to do now is just go down to online updater, and you've got a core downloader. So now we're going to install the emulator cores that we need. These are the things that actually play the games. RetroArch is kind of just a shell on its own. So I'm just going to install a couple of them. So go down to Nintendo. So I'm probably going to install, again, you can choose which ones you're interested in depending on your ROMs. I'm just going to install that one, go down a bit further. There's other, you can choose whatever one you want. Let me just get, I'm going to do a SNES one as well. And then I'm going to go down to Dreamcast, because we're going to need to run Dreamcast through this, because the Redream emulator doesn't work on Fire TV that I can tell. Install a Genesis one, Mega Drive, and then PlayStation, probably. The only difference here is if you've got ROM files, which you need to find again yourself, then you will be able to sort of upscale everything. I've tested this, you can only really get it up to 2 times on Swan Station, but this one doesn't require, so PCSX Rearm doesn't require a BIOS. So for the purposes of the demo, we'll just get it up and running. So, right, so I've installed the emulators that I'm interested in. I'm actually waiting for my controller to charge, so I don't want to actually try and play I mean, I can show you the game loading up and what have you. Oh, another thing to do is go into user interface. So into your settings, user interface, on-screen display, on-screen notifications, notification visibility, and then you can display the frame rate, which will appear up in the top right hand corner, and that just sort of gives you an idea of how well everything's running. It's for you to see really how well the games are running. So anyway, I've installed that, but because my controller's charging up a second, I don't want to play anything at the moment. We'll just get everything set up first. So I'm going to come out of RetroArch because I can't mess around with it too much, and then I'm going to do my next one, which is the N64. So go back to the home tab, and then what I want to do is search for Mupen. You might have to select the box and go back out again, select the box so it's yellow, and then you can do Mupen 64 plus FZ APK. Now that should then give you a list of results. Again, you can use the mouse if you want to make things a bit faster. I'm just going to get from up to down. Don't go to the Play Store one. You could probably use APK Pure, but up to down seemed fine for me. Going to get that, get the latest version, and then you might have to accept all the cookies, and then download. And then that will download our next emulator, which will play N64 games. So right, and it'll give you an install button, but it seems to automatically install it. So I'm using my remote and the keyboard really. You can kind of interchange between the two of them. But what's important about the keyboard is in this application, it's very important. So we're going to open up the app, let it do what it's got to do. So now, the reason why this is important is we will struggle to select our ROMs. So in order to get ROMs off a SD card or a USB stick, obviously you don't want to be storing them on internal storage because it's just going to fill up whatever space you've got available. You're not going to be able to have that big a collection on there. I mean, N64 maybe you'd fit on this if you're just running it for that, but if you've got loads of other systems, especially like PlayStation, Dreamcast, it's going to fill up. So you're going to fill up your internal storage. So what we want to do here, and even selecting from internal storage becomes difficult now with the way Android's changing. But this on the Firestick works quite well. So let's go into refresh ROMs. You want to select the folder. It will open up this app, which is like the file picker, and you won't be able to use the mouse, so you can't like select anything. So the mouse isn't working. Can't get anywhere, can't select any, you can't get to the folder here. So the trick is to use your keyboard, and then it's to kind of use Shift and Tab. I mean, Tab would work, but basically you want to use Shift and Tab to tab until it's highlighted on the menu here. So this little like 3 bars menu, and then press spacebar for that. And then this will open this side menu, and as you can see, you've got it's selected to the device. Basically, it thinks it's like a device, for some reason called AFTKRT, not sure why, but we need to select ROMs. Now again, you won't be able to do anything, you won't be able to move down on the menu, nothing will work like that. So this is why you need the keyboard. And so what you want to do is tab, then spacebar, hang on, tab, then spacebar. Right, so press tab first, then spacebar, and then it will select the ROMs folder, which is now, this is my SD card. I named my SD card or my USB stick ROMs, so that's how I'd know what it was. But you obviously might have selected something else. Right, now you can use your keys or your remote to move around these folders. Now I've put them in a folder called ROMs. All these other directories were created by Android. I think that's when I had it in a Chromecast, it created all that. Probably would do the same on the Fire TV as well. Anyway, I've put my ROMs in a ROMs folder, and I recommend doing that. So I'm going to navigate into the ROMs folder with the controller. I'm then going to select my N64 folder. And right now I'm in that folder. I need to go back to my keyboard. and you need to do tab again. So just keep pressing tab until the folder, use this folder, is sort of, I don't know why it's not doing that. Anyway, hang on, let's see if I can go back up. Basically, you got to tab around until use this folder is, you can't use mouse or anything. So hang on, let's go back up. And what we've got to try and do is select use this folder. So we've got to say use this folder. So you tab up, right, keep tabbing, and then it should select the folder, I think. Hang on, no, it's going, you might have to scroll all the way down the list, and I've got a lot of ROMs here. So you might have to scroll all the way down the list until it sort of gets, here we go. Basically, you've got a tab, you've got to try and move around with your cursor, with your sort of up and down keys and what have you, you know, these set of keys, you know, and the tab key here. And you've got to do that until it's highlighted use this folder, and it will be blue. Then you press the space bar and it will come up with this menu, say allow movement FZ to access the files in the N64, and say allow, press, and you tab again. So it's always tabbing. So you're tabbing, trying to get access to that option, and select allow. And now it will basically start scanning your directory, and it will import your ROMs. And the whole idea is that hopefully it will import that, it will have all the box art, what have you, and it should import everything. Let's see how it gets on. Okay, now we can see that it's got everything, and unlike the Chromecast, it's done a good job of installing all the box art and everything. It's got everything looking really cool. I mean, there's a couple that it might miss out on, but you might be able to sort those out depending on naming. So the next thing we need to do, again, this mouse makes things a lot easier, is I can go into the menu, and then we need to set up our, well, we can't set up our controller actually, because I don't have the controller at the moment. So what I think we'll do is we'll move on to the next emulator. But as you can see, we have got access to our ROMs on the SD card or USB stick if you were using that. But essentially, this is the big problem now with Android, that you don't normally get access to these. So with just the controller or your remote control, you're not going to get access to these. So that's what basically this tutorial is doing, is showing you how to get access to those actual ROM files and still keep them on the SD card or USB, because you don't really want to be storing them on the device, because it's going to take up a lot of space. So right, let's come out of that emulator now. Let's now search for another emulator back in Downloader, and that is PPSSPP, which is for PSP emulation. So I'm going to do a search for that now, and we want the main one, the main result, which is ppsspp.org. That's the main site. Now we're at the ppsspp.org. It's a great name, isn't it? So now we're on the homepage ppsspp. Click on the download. Then we want to go to download APK of ppsspp free. Did not use the Google Play ones. I don't know if they'll work with that. You can't get them anyway for this system, but do use this one. Use download APK of ppsspp free. Right, it will then try and install. Again, you will use your remote control for that. Select install. Okay, open. So now we can open this up. It will also say ready to launch. So it loads up, and immediately you get asked whether you want to create or choose a PSP folder. I'm going to say OK. It will then bring us back to this horrible file picker again, where again on the control on the keyboard, we're going to tab using Shift Tab, and just tab back to the menu. Press spacebar. Then you want tab, then spacebar. And then you will be into your ROMs directory again, into your ROMs SD. I'm going to select the ROMs folder, and then I'm going to go into the PSP folder, which is what I've got all my ROMs in. And then the idea is we need to select, I've only got 4 ROMs in here, 4 games in here. So I'm going to tab through, I think it was already highlighted on use this folder. So I think we could have just accepted to use the folder. So hang on, let me tab again. I want to tab, basically keep pressing tab until I get that folder to go light blue. Then I'm going to press return. It's going to ask me if I want to allow access. Allow. There we go. It already contains PSP data. That's because I set it up previously, testing all this out. And obviously I reset my whole Firestick to show you how to do it. So I'm just going to say it already contains it, say OK. Right, so if I go into the Games tab, it's already selected my games because obviously I did it before. But the way that you do it is if you're not seeing this, then you go into your Games tab and then into Browse. And then again, it's the same annoying selection. And then basically you want to, it will use this folder. Hang on, let me see if I can get it back. See if I can get it back to the... Anyway, yeah, I think it's just going to select the ROMs folder for me. So because I'd done it before, it already... here we go. So now I'm in the wrong folder now. So I want to select the folder PSP, and then I want to use this folder, which is already highlighted. So I think when you enter the folder, it'll already be highlighted. So when you do this, you will end up in the right folder. Select this folder, say allow, and then you'll see your games there. So now the games are set up basically. And so I've only got 4 games at the moment. And I've got Need for Speed, Tekken 6, God of War, Sonic Rivals. So that's my game set up there now. So that's the 3 emulators that I want to set up. So I want to set up RetroArch, Mupen 64 plus FZ, and PPSSPP. Right, so next I'm going to go out and hopefully I'm going to be able to pair my controller again. So I'm just going to select this and I'm going to set up my controller. Right, I'm going to pair my Xbox One controller. I've plugged it in so that it's charging at the same time as I'm going to pair it. Still going to use Bluetooth, I think. So we'll get to the Bluetooth devices, game controllers, and then I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm going to hold down the pairing button. It should be flashing like 3 times, you know, should be really fast. Flashing, and it looks like it's behaving stably now. Okay, right, so pair the Xbox wireless controller. So it needed powering up. Okay, so now it's powered up, and I can go back into my emulators. So first of all, I'm going to set up the Mupen 64 emulator, because that's probably the most interesting one about this tutorial. And I'm going to go down into profiles, controller profiles, and then I'm just going to select the Xbox One. You can do a copy. I'm just going to add a 1 to it and then say OK. Right, now it will ask you to set your buttons. So you press A to set the button. So A, this is L, so I'm going to use the top button here. R, do that. Z, I'm going to use the trigger here. S is this for start. So I'm going to do that. And basically you set up all your buttons. This one's A, B, oh hang on, just did the wrong thing there. Right, anyway, you can go back down through and do it again, so it's not a problem. So just be careful not to press B before. So there you go, there's B. Right, C pad, I tend to use the right analog. Select that one. Again, this is not, this is not important. You can configure yours. D pad, obviously I use the actual D pad. Oh, hang on, I've done that wrong, I think. Let's go up. Right, D-pad select, yeah. Just make sure I've got the right keys for everything. Right, analog, I use the left analog, so, hang on, yeah. Yeah. Right, analog down. Hang on, don't know if I've got this right now. I think I have got it right. So I think it's working. Okay, that's all set. And you can set a button to save a slot. On my controller, I'm going to use that one because I've got that. So that just would let you save your game. Right, okay, so now we're all done. We set this up. We're all set. Okay, so now you've got to go into select profiles. And then your main controller 1 profile. Again, you can set up 2 controllers if you want, if you've got that many connected. I'm just going to set that to my Xbox One controller. Right, so I'm going to come out of here now and I'm going to pick a game that is a bit kind of funny on devices usually. And just see how it runs. So Cruising USA. Right, we're going to play that game. And let's see it load up. Okay, I've got no sound, don't forget. Right, press start to continue. Is it working? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is all working. There's no sound because this monitor doesn't have any sound, which is a pain. I'm going to get a monitor that does. Right, okay, select that. Just start the game, basically. Right, here we go. Automatic D. So you needed to configure your controllers, or else obviously this won't work properly. It's the Z button to drive it. So, right, here we go. Go, right. Oh, one thing I want to do actually quickly before I carry on is I just want to go out of this game a second. I might just quickly save the slot so I can get back to this position. But let's go out of the game. I just want to turn on, you can use your controller to do this stuff. I just want to turn on the frame count so we can see what we're dealing with. So in display, there should be a frame rate. Here we go. And you can set it where you want it. Top center tends to be what people use. Go back into Cruising USA. And it should remember where you were. Okay, right. So now for me, this is running pretty well. Yeah, so normally Android boxes struggle with this. So this is only a stick, don't forget. This isn't even an Android box. But usually they struggle with this. And it feels to me like it's running really well. Now we've got no sound, and sometimes the sound can be a bit iffy. So, but this feels very responsive. 24 frames a second. I think it probably would be around about, yeah, I think it would go up to 30. I don't know. Maybe it's showing half the frame rate. Maybe this is a European ROM as well, so you've got like, you know, the 50 frames ROMs. But this feels really playable. There's no sluggishness at all. It's driving, it's just fine, absolutely fine. You know, so you get, you know, there's going to be, it's probably going to be hit or miss. But this feels really good. It's moving exactly how I'd expect it to. It's very, very responsive. The controls are working really well, so really happy with that. Oh, that just changes the view. You can change the music. Obviously can't hear any of it. But I mean, the acid test probably will be if the music is all distorted, because generally the music goes crazy, I think, in this game, if you're getting bad emulation. But this is all running. I mean, definitely playable. Yeah, really, really happy with this. The thing with a lot of Android boxes as well, though, is that they run a lot of their games in. So if you get, like I say, a Super Console X, they don't run their games in the Android part of the device anyway. They run their games in the kind of like Mupen 64 within RetroArch, which isn't the same as this emulator. This emulator here is like a remade version, and it's very, very good. So you can often get better performance out of this emulator than you can. Yeah, so there you go. We finished the race, no problem. Okay, so as you can see, that was running absolutely fine. This emulator does a really good job, where other, you know, where RetroArch will probably do a bad job of this, this is doing really well. Just want to see if I can find GoldenEye, because that tends to be the one that doesn't do as well. So let's just see how well this game runs in GoldenEye. I haven't changed any settings, we're just sort of like running it stock. So just the stock settings. Yeah, see, look, 50 frames a second there. Right, obviously it's just the intro. No idea the sound. But it does seem to be running okay so far. And like I said, this particular emulator tends to do a better job than the ones on, say, like Super Console X, which just load up through Emulation Station, you know, into RetroArch. So you tend to get better results from this dedicated app, basically. So now I'm not saying it's going to run perfect. So let's just see. Yep, this all seems to be pretty fluid to me. This game was never 100% anyway. Even on the original console was a little bit like iffy because it was pushing the boundaries of it. But as you can see, it's all running pretty nicely. I'm not saying it'll be perfect, but I think it'll be pretty good for an Android box. Right, so change my gun. Just make sure I've got the. Here we go. Right, so yeah, that's the maximum zoom. I think it's set to invert at the moment. Shoot the guy. So the controllers are pretty. There we go. Look, I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty easy to control. So I'm pretty happy with this. Right, yeah, because A and B obviously, and I've got X. X is behaving like the gun changing one. Yeah, just pick up his weapon. Right, so okay, so this changes the weapon. You may have to play around with the controllers just to get them exactly as you want them and what have you. So I might go to the next bit. It's a bit closer. I mean, you don't have to play the game like I'm playing it, but you know, as you can see, things are working pretty well. I mean, this is just using a, you know, this is just native resolution, so this is only 1x. But as you can see, you know, and these controllers were quite hard to sort of, you know, they weren't the easiest to control, even when you used to use the original N64 controller. So this guy's going a bit crazy behind here. Get him. Yeah, got him. Right, so yeah, so, you know, you're talking, you know, it's working pretty well. You know, it's not going to be 100%, but it feels very fluid to me. I'm able to run around and shoot things and people. It's doing pretty well. I'm sure there was another guy around here. Probably got him. But yeah, it's all running pretty well, even on GoldenEye. So, you know, this wasn't expensive. I think I paid about, I don't know, 60 quid, or I mean, it might have been less than that, maybe 40 quid for this stick. I think I got it like in a Black Friday sale. So it's really running pretty well. So yeah, pretty happy with this. Right, so that's GoldenEye, that's N64, and I think I'm going to just save my slot, and I'm going to come out of this. I might just load up one more, which I suspect to be very easy game. Mario Kart 64. I've got two different versions by the looks of it, maybe that one. Okay, so just a quick look at that, and then I think I'm going to move on to RetroArch and the PSP emulators. Right, okay, start, yeah. Yeah. I just want to play the game, Mario. But yeah, I mean, it's great, you know, you get, when you've got sound, you know, obviously this monitor hasn't. If you're on your TV, you're going to have sound, so it's all going to be good. It would be playing fine if I did have sound enabled. Obviously this monitor doesn't have it. Right, here we go. Yeah, all running pretty well again. Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a bad. Okay, just hit all them. Right, so yeah, so I mean, you're going to be playing your old favourites with this, and it's really cool. So yeah, no issues at all. This is running great. So yeah, so basically this little device is going to play you N64, and I think if you go out and buy one of those Super Console X's or other Android boxes that kind of do emulation, you know, you can buy them. They're just not going to give you this level of performance on N64. I mean, you might be able to go onto the Android TV side of it and then kind of sideload the same app and maybe get similar performance, but you know, you might as well do it on a device you already have like this. So yeah, it's not bad, it's running pretty well. Okay, again, can save the slot. Let's get out of here, let's exit this emulator. But it's great, it's coming up with all the box art. For some reason when I did this on Chromecast I didn't get any of the box art. Right, so I'm going to go out. Let's go into PPSSPP. Right, now I think Need a Speed will run okay. Let's go into that first. Okay, so start that. Yeah. Okay, let's just try this one out. I'm tempted to try and, well, let's see how it runs at native resolution first of all, and then we'll, okay, so might have to use the D-pad, select that. Okay, just quick play, instant race, ready to race. Okay, yeah, let's see how well this runs. I don't know what performance we're going to get. I've got a feeling it might already have retained my previous settings, so I think I'm set to 3 times resolution. It seems okay. I've got frame skip on though, like 1 frame skip, so I think it's doing like the equivalent of 30 frames a second. But seems pretty good. It's running pretty well. Obviously you can see. Well, I mean, I'm not very good at this game, so that's the main reason. I thought I had a Golf GTI. No, I seem to be in a Porsche. Here we go. Right, so anyway, Need for Speed working okay. I'm pretty sure this is 3 times resolution. How do you get into that? I'm not sure. There might be a way to get into it with the buttons. I need to, there you go. You press the 2 bottom trigger buttons. Go into settings. Yeah, I'm set to 4 times resolution, so I'm on 1080p with frame skipping on. It did seem a little bit sluggish at that. You might be able to take it down a bit without frame skipping, maybe get it down to 3 times, turn off the frame skipping, and then just let's see how we do on that. You know, there we go, we're getting quite a solid 30 now, I think. Yeah, that's probably the sweet spot, 3 times resolution. I mean, it depends what you're playing it on. If you're playing it on TV, sat a bit further away, might be a bit better. Yeah, I can never get around the corners in this game. I've got to take a foot off the pedal, I think, to go around the corners. Anyway, it's me not playing the game very well. But yeah, it's running perfectly fine. You can see the frames per second up there. It's mainly just my poor driving skills that you're seeing. But yeah, look, it's doing fine at 3 times resolution. Well, as you can see, all working, looking good. Right, so I think we come out of this game. Let's go into God of War. I want to go into the menu a second. Let's set frame skip. Frame skipping is on. Frame skipping is 1. So yeah, so I mean, it's running. It's not mega great. I mean, there's going to be other games that run better than this. You know, it's fine. I think you just got to accept that God of War is not going to be the best game to check. It's not, you know, you're going to need something better hardware-wise for that. If we have a look at Tekken 6 quickly, is it going to play all right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've got any settings on this game. Yeah, it's got some frame skipping going on. Native resolution. I think I'm just pressing the wrong button here. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Right, so you can see it's probably going to be, PSP is probably the limit that this system's going to kind of do. But yeah, as you can see, it's all kind of running okay. Okay, right, so now let's go back out. Let's take a look at RetroArch now that we've got the controller all working. So, okay, so I originally set up my cores. So I chose my cores. I'm not going to load the content in. You can do import content to kind of put all your games in here and stuff. I'm just going to manually load a game. So if we just go down, you'll find that your USB stick or SD will be like storage / 4 digits dash 4 digits. So you just need to find your directory. Let's just try out a Mega Drive game quickly. Let's have a look, see if we can find Sonic 3. We can skip ahead a bit. Here we go, hang on. There we go. Yeah, obviously you can set it up a bit better than this so you can find what you're looking for. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3 here. Okay, that's going to run in that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Don't know if I got my controller set up correctly. Probably not. RetroArch can be a bit funny. I just press escape. It can be a bit funny if you haven't entered RetroArch with right, so I just want to quickly do something quickly. If I go into input in the settings menu, you've got hotkeys. You can go into the controller combo, and I set it to L1 and R1, and then that'll enable you to get back to the menu. Right, so Sonic 3, going to run the content. Now if I was to press R1 and R2, L1 and L1, sorry, R2, R1, you can get into that menu. Right, okay, I think it's a bit funny. You've got to use the controller to actually open it. And here we go. Yeah. Right, so I've selected that. Oh, no, I haven't. You've got to use the right buttons as well. Again, all this is configuration of RetroArch, really. Right, yeah, you've got to use the D-pad, and then B seems to do it, yeah. Yeah, okay, right, and start will slow it down. It's running at 50 frames a second because I think it's the European version of the game. So you're not, yeah, so the US one will probably run at 60. You can see the frame counter that I've turned on. Yeah, gonna take it. I think I'm only set to use the D-pad at the moment. I don't think I can use the controller, the analog sticks, but again, I think you can set that up. It's just a setting. I mean, obviously you can play around with the settings, look up the settings for RetroArch, what have you. Obviously you can do a much better job of getting this all set up. I need some sort of rings before something kills me. And there we go. As you can see, all running well. You can get shaders as well to kind of smooth out the picture. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can do with RetroArch. I mean, there's so much you can't really cover in a video. All sorts of options. A lot of people like the pixelated look to get the kind of old retro feel as well. A lot of the Super Console Xboxes, they add shaders on, smooth everything out, and it kind of then looks a bit fake. So this is more of a authentic experience, I suppose. Anyway, right, so if I just come out of there, press the 2, right, so I can close the content to come out, and then just want to run, I want to run a Dreamcast game because that's going to be probably a bit harder for this. I mean, I could do SNES as well, but let's try a Dreamcast game because that's going to be the highest level here. Right, so if we load up Crazy Taxi, Flycast, okay, start, yeah. So as you can see, it's all loading up fine, 60 frames at the moment. Probably native resolution, everything's set to native resolution at the moment. Struggling a bit more now, frames counter's gone down. Right, press start. Okay, play by arcade rules. Now you might have to tweak your settings with this because obviously it's a harder game. Right, so I think I want to put it in drive. Put it in drive, then how do you, hang on, just got to remember the controls. Right, yeah, so it's the right trigger. Right, here we go. It seems to be running okay. So it's totally playable at this frame rate, and I'm sure on the Chromecast I had to bump it, I had to turn off frame skip and stuff. But it feels quite playable like this actually. You know, at native resolution, everything running pretty good, I'd say. I mean, obviously this is probably the European ROM as well, so you're going to, oh hang on. Obviously you got to know how to play the game. Drop him off. Yeah, see you later. Right, so I need to smash that van out of the way, get this guy in. And the rumble's working. It's one thing I'll say to you, the rumble, oh yeah, you can switch to reverse, switch to drive. Obviously, you're probably better at this game than I am. But yeah, it's all running. As you can see, look, absolutely running well. Rumble pad is working. So, you know, Flycast is working with the rumble. So I'm basically getting all the sort of nice sort of force feedback that you would get in the original game, the original system. So yeah, really working well. Happy with this. Not playing the game very well, but yeah, absolutely fine. So yeah, Dreamcast is running well on this. Certainly in native resolution. Whether you could bump that up, I don't think so. Probably this is the limit. You know, and 41 frames a second feels very playable to me. Right, I'm going to close out that content and I'm going to try a PlayStation game because I think PlayStation is the other one that we can do on here. So let's do Crash. I don't think it will let me run Swan Station because I don't think I have the BIOS in there. So let me just try and load that again. Load content. Yeah, obviously you can set it up so you see all your games and stuff, and you can just select through the menu by doing load content. So there is a way to get all the games in here, the box art, all that kind of stuff. Let's just load Cool Borders. CX Rearmed. That's the one that works well with this. You can set up your BIOSes as well. You can copy the BIOS to the RetroArch system folder, so you can do upscaling and stuff. I did try that before I reset this, and I was only really able to get 2 times resolution, but 2 times resolution is not too bad. Now, your Super Console X style Android boxes will be able to play PlayStation again. They will play it at native resolution. So if you can set yourself up in RetroArch with all the BIOSes and everything working, then you can upscale this to 2 times. So you're going to beat the Super Console X boxes, no problem. So yeah, all running really well. Again, frame rate is locked at 60 pretty much, well 59.94. So really good, running perfectly as originally intended. And yeah, really working. So yeah, really happy with this little stick really. And they're not a lot of money. I mean, you're gonna pick these up when they're on offer for like 30-40 quid. This is the Firestick 4K Max. So it's their top model. You've got the extra storage, and not only that, you can watch your TV. You know, you can watch Netflix and iPlayer, and you know, in other countries, whatever your apps are. But Netflix, Disney Plus, all that's going to run in full quality. So Netflix in 4K. You know, whereas a lot of these Android boxes can't do 4K playback or 1080p playback even. because they're not allowed to by Netflix. So these devices are certified, so you can get your games running on them, and you can also watch your TV, and you're certified to watch content in full quality. And if you're in the UK like me, iPlayer won't run on anything other than these sort of certified devices. So, you know, in a way, they're great if you can get a decent one that can run your games, but generally the performance isn't going to be that great. The main draw of them is that they can, you know, they sell them with the controllers, they sell them with that, but the controllers are usually cheapy. The ROM collections are usually mad and not necessarily in English. And you just, yeah, they're underpowered boxes. Whereas this box, you can see it's running everything perfectly fine. N64, even GoldenEye running quite well. So I would say definitely playable. You get through the whole game in that, no problem. So yeah, this is a really good box. Hopefully that tutorial is useful. Obviously, once you've got this all set up, you don't need to have your keyboard and your mouse and stuff plugged in. Once you've got all the emulators set up, you will be able to just run this, you know, plugged into the back of your TV with your Xbox controller. You should be able to just then run that normally. It's only to get the emulators set up that you need this keyboard and ideally a mouse. Once you've done that, you're all set up. You don't need it again. And yeah, hopefully that's really useful to you. Hopefully you like that video. If you do like the video, if you could hit the like button, that'd be great. If you fancy seeing more content like this in the future, please click the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified of new videos. But thanks very much for watching, and see you again in the next one.